So initially, when they brought CSAT paper 1 and paper 2 in 2011, both the papers were taken into consideration in determining whether you will qualify for mains or not. Mains mein you have 4 GS papers. A new paper which was recommended by the second ARC, Administrative Reforms Commission, that is Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. UPSC has not given a very detailed syllabus. Prelims mein they have not crafted the syllabus in a comprehensive fashion. One of the biggest challenge is that the questions would not be tough. Questions in IIT or in IIM, if you sit for CAT or IIT, if you get 40% of your questions correct, then you are likely to get 99 percentile and you will get AIR 1. Students who have done their graduation from qualifying and get correspondence have got under 100.
UPSC preparation begins with one practical question. How do you turn a vast syllabus into a clear, workable study process? That clarity does not come from adding more material. It comes from a structure that decides sequence, priority and review. The Delhi GS Foundation course at Vision IAS is built around that structure. Core subjects are taught in a planned flow, so concepts build instead of overlapping. Current affairs are integrated with static topics, so relevance is clear from the start. Tests are used to check understanding at the right stage, not just to measure scores. Mentorship focuses on keeping preparation aligned as the syllabus progresses. The result is a preparation process that stays steady and predictable, even as the syllabus expands. If you are looking for a structured approach to general studies, covering both prelims and mains with regular guidance and review, this course provides that framework. Vision IAS Delhi GS Foundation course starting from 6th January at 11 am, 16th January at 8 am and 23rd January at 5 pm at Karol Bagh and 7th January at 6 pm for English and 12th January at 11 am for Hindi at GTB Nagar. For more information, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
Good evening, all of you. I hope you all are doing good. Okay. So we have sessions lined up. Primarily, I would be talking about polity and there would be other faculties talking about other subjects. Okay. Since we have paucity of time, okay. So of course, it requires a very comprehensive elaboration, but we'll try to make it as precise and succinct as possible. Okay. And we'll also be taking your questions. See, from whatever experience we have, and whatever wisdom that has been bestowed, we'll try to ensure that you get the most out of it, okay? Because being honest, after communicating with minimum maybe 80,000, 1 lakh students, primarily we do understand what are the common areas where you make a mistake. And most of the time when an academic question is put, it has been asked by a predecessor. So being honest, in a month, I hardly get 1 or 2 questions which has been asked for the first time. So most of the doubts that are going on in your mind, we are well aware of the same. So let's make this productive, okay? First and foremost thing, I expect all of you to be aware, please take your seat, to be aware about the demand of the exam, about the scheme of examination, okay? So this, most of you are aware, but still I'll try to put it in a very brief manner, okay? So the exam is divided into 3 phases, okay? So initially when we started with civil services, okay, So there is a body that is Union Public Service Commission, which is mentioned in the Constitution, Article 315 of the Constitution, which conducts the exam. Okay, and there are also state public service commissions, which also derive their existence from the Constitution, Article 315. So UPSC conducts the exam for civil services examination, primarily for what you are coming for this session. Okay, but it is not the civil services that UPSC conducts. Throughout the year, if you'll go there, you'll find some or the other interviews are going on and exams go on throughout the year. From Indian Statistical Services to Indian Economist Service, from Indian Geologist Services to Indian Engineering Services, from Civil Services Examination to Indian Forest Services, prelims is combined though, to Assistant Professor Nehru Homeopathic College, to other exams which are conducted by UPSC. So Union Public Service Commission conducts the exam. Post independence, the number of candidates were relatively very less. Okay, so they don't need to eliminate people from the prelim stage. So till somewhere around late 70s, precisely from 1979, till that time they were only having main stage of the examination. So when my father used to appear, at that time there was only mains examination. But since the number of candidates shot over the period of time and they swelled in number, so UPSC introduced a prelim stage of the examination. So now we have three stages. One is prelims, then we have mains, and this, as UPSC calls it, personality test. Okay, so this prelim stage was initially not there 50 years, more than 50 years back. Now till 2000, now few reforms have taken place in last 15-20 years. Very briefly, because we don't have time. In 1 hour, even if I speak for 7 hours, it is less. So I'll try to make it as brief as possible. From 1979, initially they were having only main stage of the examination because the number of candidates were very less. So they directly evaluated your answer scripts on the basis of your writing skills. But later on, when the number of candidates increased, so they introduced an elimination round, which is a prelim stage. That round has no importance in the final merit list, but you have to be qualifying that stage, then only you will be eligible to sit for the main stage of the examination. So technically, it is a way to qualify for the second stage. From 1979 till around 2010, they were having two papers in the prelims, two papers. Okay, one paper was general studies, which had some element of quantitative aptitude, and the second paper was your optional. So even at the prelim stage of the examination, they used to ask optional. You need to choose one optional that was objective in nature. I'm repeating myself. Till 2010, they were having two papers at the prelim stage of the examination. One paper was general studies, other was one optional that you need to choose. Both the papers you need to go for objective, not subjective. Okay, but that was second administrative reform commission primarily was responsible, which made certain recommendations, and there was a demand that students should also be tested on their analytical and reasoning and other comprehensive skills, keeping in mind the advent of globalization, the challenges which the civil servant is facing due to the advent of technology, neo middle class, globalization, India developing as a knowledge economy. Multiple reasons for there. So there was a fundamental reforms from 2011. Now we have two papers in the prelims, which is the same. So you have CSAT paper 1 and CSAT paper 2. The actual name is CSAT paper 1 and CSAT paper 2, which we call general studies and CSAT paper. So in the prelim stage of the examination, you will have two papers. One, that is CSAT paper 1 and paper 2. From 2011 till 2014, what they did from 2011 till 2014, what they did, keep both the papers would be taken into consideration whether you will qualify to the second stage or not. So none of the paper over here was qualifying. You have to pass both the marks would be combined, and if you sail through the cutoff, then you will be eligible to sit for mains. But there were humongous protests and multiple things were there. So again, they brought a reform in 2015. What reform they brought? This paper has comprehension. It doesn't have maths. This is a there is nothing to do with maths. Maths is core, maths is theory. This has pure reasoning. This has pure application of mind, comprehensive. So there is a common, what you call, confusion among the aspirants. It doesn't have maths. It has quantitative reasoning, quantitative aptitude, reasoning, comprehension, and certain logics. Okay. So now at the prelim stage of the examination, you will have two papers. One paper would be of general studies, which you will have in the morning shift from 9:30 amplitude meridian, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Second paper would be CSAT, where you will have comprehension, reasoning, and what you call quantitative aptitude, and these things. So initially, when they brought CSAT paper 1 and paper 2 in 2011, both the papers were taken into consideration in determining whether you will qualify for mains or not. But from 2015, they brought another fundamental reform that no, only this paper would be taken into consideration. Only this paper would be taken into consideration whether you will qualify for mains or not. But this is just a qualifying paper. So now at the prelim stage, this is merely a qualifying paper where you need to score out of 80, 27 point something, matlab 28 questions. You need to get net correct. So this marks would be evaluated only after you have qualified for this thing. So this is qualifying now from 2015. This marks would determine whether you will write mains or not. Over the period of time, the cutoff has also hovered. It was monumental to 113 in the initial few years of CSAT. 276, which it went 2 years back. So it has seen a very large scale of oscillation, the kind of questions which it depends upon the question, the toughness that year. Average in last 4-5 years, we can see 90 is the marks that you need to score out of 200, which has been broadly the cutoff 85, 87, 88, 90 out of 200. Okay, that is for non-economically weaker section, general category. Okay, so anyways, that is not the topic here. So you have CSAT, then you have mains. Mains mein you have 4 GS papers. You have 4 GS papers. Here it is objective, here it is subjective. 4 GS papers mein GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3 and GS paper 4. Primarily, broadly in GS paper 1 you have history and geography. And one more thing, whoever has framed the syllabus in a very scientific fashion. Although things are interdisciplinary, but everything that is absolutely related to each other has been put under one subject. So it is not that things have been put in an absurd manner. For example, just you say, what is the most important factor that affects history of any country? Geography. If India would be in South America, if India would be in Pacific, if India would be in Africa, if India would be in North America, then the history would have been entirely different. So history, most important factor that impacts history is geography. GS paper 2 maybe they have compartmentalized into 4 parts: polity, governance. Now listen how. Polity, governance, social justice and international relations. Polity, governance, social justice and international relations. Polity is the study of political system and how they interact among themselves as well as with the citizens. So polity is the political system. But what the political system does, for example, what is government? A very simple definition of government: set of people who have the authority to govern. So government, now what the government does is governance. So governance is purely a verb. What the government does is governance. So political system, and what that political system does, that is social, economic, political, cultural, international decisions. So they have placed in GS paper 2, they have placed polity. Then polity, what the political system does, that is governance. As a civil servant, what will be one of the principal mandate? What is the principal mandate of Indian state? The principal mandate is maintaining the unity and integrity of the country. First thing, maintaining the unity. After that, you have welfareism, secularism, federalism, rule of law, democratic character, republican form. Everything comes second. First thing is maintaining the unity and integrity of the country. After that, as a civil servant, what will you do? As a civil servant, among the many duties, upholding rule of law, maintaining public order, maintaining law and order. Public order is a big term. There is a subset, law and order. You will also promote social justice. So social justice kya bhai, sanitation, drinking water, so many schemes that you would be implementing. So they have placed social justice also in GS paper 2. So what the political system does is governance, and what they try to achieve from governance is social justice. So polity, governance, social justice, and international relations. Now just I'll give you a thing. Society they have placed in paper 1. Why? Society may you will study about gender-based discrimination, caste-based discrimination, all the inequality, all such. So all these discrimination which you will be studying about is a result of history. So if you see the syllabus, they have placed, whoever has prepared the syllabus, it has been placed with absolute understanding of the things that are purely linked with each other. So society you have in paper 1, but social justice you have in GS paper 2. And of course the fits well is higher. Then here you have what you call economy, getting my point, science and technology, these things. A new paper which was recommended by the second ARC, Administrative Reforms Commission, that is ethics, integrity and aptitude. Ethics, integrity and aptitude. So at the GS, in GS you will be having 4 papers. All papers would be of 250 marks each. Now let me tell you, in the school it was quite possible and very easy to score 85, 90. But here out of 1000, if you'll cross 500, then it is like what you call humanly not possible. Okay, even the AIR 1 or the maximum marks that a human individual can score would hover around between 450 to 500. That too would be you will get AIR 1. So it is not that easy to get marks over here. In school, if out of 100, if you write very good, you will get 95, 98. Here, 51, 52% would translate into AIR 1. So you don't get marks easily. For example, if they're asking a question that how Indus Valley civilization can inspire urban town planning. So every child knows that there is a first phase of Indus Valley civilization, second phase of Indus Valley civilization, Daimabad, Alamgirpur, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Bronze Dancing Girl, Lothal. They are not asking anything. They are just asking the town planning in IVC, how it can inspire. So you have to stick to the mandate from day one. You may be having very good understanding of language, or you may write opulent answers, but those opulent answers would not fetch marks. Here you need to be a assassinator, butcher. You need to understand the demand of the question, which we'll see later for the time being. Then you have what you call these papers. There would be one optional paper which you need to choose, which is a world altogether. It is jokingly said that optional is like marriage. If it goes wrong, you cannot correct it. You cannot correct it, so you need to be absolutely diligent while deciding over the optional. Going through, if you have an academic background of a particular subject and then you choose that optional, I am quite okay with it, because you already have been exposed to academic rigor for 5 years or at least for 3 years. But if you are absolutely naive and then you are choosing an optional, so I would find that person more wise who will take 10-15 days to decide the optional, going through all the syllabus of all the 3 optionals, what has been the marking pattern, what is your interest, that is most important thing, what is the syllabus, what has been previous year's question paper, what are the primary sources that are available. All these factors keeping in mind, doing research for 10-15 days, then you will be able to decide what optional you will go for. If you have done your graduation in sociology, for that matter geography, history, any subject, then you are well trained before, your mind has been exposed to academic rigor, you know that you will be choosing this optional. Otherwise, you have 2 papers of optional, and then you have 2 qualifying paper. One is of English, due to the prominence of English. So English, of course, every civil servant should be aware of the same. And one qualifying language. Okay. Qualifying language may, you can choose any vernacular language, Hindi or any other language, any other vernacular language, but this is just qualifying. One more paper would be there of essay. So previously UPSC used to ask only one essay of 250 words. Now they are asking part A and part B, 2 essays of 125 words each. 2 essays of 125 words each. And a major change that they have brought from 2021, now they're asking philosophical essays a lot. Okay, a lot of philosophical essays. Getting my matlab, essays where you, for example, they ask on health, education, irrigation, poverty, hunger, inequality. These things, there are ample of literature available on internet. So you'll prepare beforehand and you will write. But they will ask a philosophical essay which you have not heard that statement ever. Okay, so for that matter, matlab where you need to think on your own, think at your feet. Okay, so these days philosophical essays have become common norm. Okay, so you have this. Now we have, without much ado, let's go into the second part. Now, for any exam, especially when you talk about polity, for any exam, the first and most important thing any serious aspirant will go through will be syllabus. Okay, I have seen so many students, thousands and thousands of students, if not lakhs in the class over the years. Okay, so syllabus is one thing all the serious aspirant will go through the syllabus. Syllabus is of paramount importance. Now, so it is an incomplete statement to just mention this. In UPSC notification, you will find the syllabus of prelims as well as mains. In the prelims stage of the examination, UPSC has not given a very detailed syllabus. Prelims may they have not crafted the syllabus in a comprehensive fashion. They have just said Indian Constitution, public policy, political system, rights issue, panchayati raj, governance, etc. Although etc. is a dangerous term. Okay, etc. is a very dangerous term. So in the prelim stage of the examination, UPSC has not detailed out the syllabus. They have given syllabus in a very broad way. Okay, over the period of time, with our experience and understanding, we try to sketch a boundary that they will be asking questions from this boundary only, most likely. Okay, it is humanly not possible to get all 200 questions correct. No one in the history of humankind has done that. But yes, you will be comfortably sailing through in the prelim stage of the examination. So prelims, they have not given a detailed syllabus, they have given indicative syllabus like Indian Constitution, political system, public policy, rights issue, panchayati raj, governance, etc. But in main stage of the examination, syllabus becomes uttermost important. Whoever frames the question paper, whoever is the examiner, he will have a hard copy of the syllabus right at his disposal, at the desk. So in the main stage of the examination, syllabus becomes paramount importance. Of paramount importance, every serious aspirant should have a hard copy of the syllabus at his disposal. You may also paste it at the workstation where you study. Okay, you don't need to make an effort to memorize the syllabus. For example, you shifted to Delhi, you're residing in a particular locality. Did you ever made an effort to remember all the lanes in the locality? But over the period of time, someday you take this lane, someday you take another lane. Over the period of time, with the kind of exposure you have, you gradually understand the locality. So syllabus may you don't need to memorize the syllabus, but throughout your preparation, every now and then you should refer to the syllabus. Whenever an article is appearing in Hindu or Indian Express or any literature that you are exposed to, you must be able to link that this is from that topic of the syllabus. By the time when you are appearing for mains, every single word that is mentioned in the syllabus should be complete, and you should be able to locate that these kinds of questions may emanate from that. So every serious aspirant, for me, I would say syllabus remains of paramount importance. Okay, no need to make an effort to memorize them in a short span of time, but without a shadow of doubt, you must be well aware of the syllabus. If I don't have time, we have just done 1 hour session. Otherwise, I would have shown you many number of examples where a key word in the syllabus is located in the question paper. So all the key terms that are mentioned in the syllabus usually find mention directly or indirectly in the question paper. So syllabus is of paramount importance. You will get a hard copy of the syllabus. You can get it in PDF format in a hard copy and paste at the workstation where you study. Now, I don't want like giving what you call philosophical things that you need to work hard and all those important things, because you are mature, you are well aware, you are often reminded of the same by the family as well as the society. So those things I don't say in the class also. But what is important, one thing you understand, this whoever says, whatever people will say that we came, we saw, we conquered, all those things I will not get into. But this exam does require time. Okay. One of the biggest challenge is that the questions would not be tough. Questions in IIT or in IIM, if you'll sit for CAT or IIT, if you get 40% of your questions correct, then you are likely to get 99 percentile and you'll get AIR 1. Yahan the challenge is not that the questions are tough. They do not require much intellectual aptitude, or they will not be asking questions which are too inquisitive or which are too tough, or you are asked to think in a very way, something that is sui generis where you will produce some knowledge. No, most of the questions would be very simple, but maximum they can test your intellect, that how globalization is affecting old age population, how Merton's theory can help in solving traffic problems, what is the idea of justice, what is the idea of liberty, basic questions. One thing which can be said with conviction, that syllabus is absolutely voluminous and monumental, where you need to work hard consistently. Because I see students, let me not deviate, but without saying that, I see students who start preparing from January for the examination. June to December, they actually do not study much. January, they have this sense that nahi bhai, we should not waste time. Whatever intellect that you have, you will not be able to conquer the syllabus in a short span of time. What they do, they make a lecture plan, they make a plan that 1st to 7th we will study polity, 8 to 15 we will study geography, 15 to 22 we will study environment. Whatever you do, you are racing against time. So first thing you must keep in mind, which I can say after teaching 1 lakh students or whatever, that you cannot skip time. So this does require time. If you will start early, you will have an advantage. If you'll start late, it will take years. Okay. So time is a very, very crucial factor, because syllabus is too voluminous. A lot of things are happening. You need to know about history, geography, economics, so many things. So you cannot afford to waste time. Okay. So you need to be consistent throughout the year. In between you have some marriage at home, you take a break. Sometimes, God forbid, you get ill. Sometimes they go home, they're not feeling well. But then also you must start early. It looks like that you have time, but what I have realized, that the challenge is in 2 ways only. One, most of the student, many a times we see in the class that somebody who is sitting at the corner hardly asking a question for 1 year comes, sits and goes. Suddenly I see him in a reel, or I see that person in a reel, which I say somehow recognize that okay, the person got some 50 rank, 20 rank. Getting my point? Because here there are so many people, let me confess this before you, who are talented. In every class there are students who are medicine graduates, who are chartered accountant, IITians, though innumerable. Okay, but many a times we see average students who have done their graduation from open schooling, or though have done from vernacular medium, suddenly switches and they do miracle. Okay, consistency remains a key. Intellect would be at 7th level. Okay, 2 things if you do, most likely. 1, you need to be absolutely consistent, and 2nd, you need to understand the demand of exam, because you will be exposed to so many kind of information. Human beings are inquisitive in nature. Every day a new literature will be thrown to you. Okay, so you should not deviate. What you have decided, you should stick to the plan. If you ask me that what is your wisdom, or if you can afford to give a wisdom, I will say 1, the keeping in mind the enormity of the syllabus, consistency, and 2nd, you should not do things which are not necessary. Human beings are inquisitive by nature. When you will start learning modern history, when you'll start learning polity, okay, that will invite your intellect and you will be engrossed into the same thing and you will enjoy the same. But this does not require you to be specialized. Rather, you should deviate your time on those subjects also which do not invite your interest. So it is no miracle or no what you call great achievement in being very good at one subject. Most of the time I see students are very good in polity and modern history, which they like going through. Many a times I see students are not that much interested in, for example, physical geography or ancient history, or for that matter science and technology, especially the technology part. Okay, so here you must pay attention to all the subjects which will be known to you. Okay, syllabus. So whoever has a plan, he should get but acha, syllabus you don't need to memorize. Over the period of time in the class also, when the things would be covered, you will be able to know that. Okay, next important thing, NCERT textbooks. I'm sure all of you are aware about the same, that NCERT textbooks are of paramount importance. How NCERT textbooks are of paramount importance? What UPSC does, UPSC has this conventional way of asking question from NCERT. You know, let me just broaden the same. In all the exams that are conducted by UPSC, from Indian Statistical Service to Indian Geologist Service, from Central Government Health Services to Indian Engineering Services, UPSC has one similar pattern, which makes it distinct from State Public Service Commission. State Public Service Commission will ask you too many facts, that this scheme was launched on 25th March, 27th March, 28th March, or the questions which are too factual or too detailed in nature. UPSC will always test your common sense. So when you will go through those NCERTs, it is quite possible and may happen this with many students, that you will feel that this I already know. जब आप NCERT करेंगे तो you will go through, you will scroll through the pages, you will feel that this I already know and you will just pass through. Okay. And next day when you will be sitting for your prelims exam, UPSC will trap you at a place where you were more comfortable. For example, let me tell you, if you are sitting in this class, the state PSC may ask you how many chairs are there in the class. UPSC will never ask you how many chairs are there in the class, but you see there are so many windows or how many gates are there to enter in the class. You entered from this gate, there is also another gate. Those questions which are exceptionally based on common sense, which you see but you tend to ignore, will easily be located in the examination. I can give you so many examples. When you open the NCERT physical geography, there is a line written that the length and breadth of India from west to east is this. UPSC asked the basic question that what is the length and breadth of India? Directly lifting it from class 11th physical geography, and they trapped many students. When Sabrimala verdict came, so Sabrimala verdict was delivered, UPSC asked a question that when you travel from Kohima to Kottayam, Kohima is in Nagaland and Kottayam is in Kerala, because you know Sabrimala is in, temple is in Pathanamthitta district of Kerala. How many states you are likely to cover? Which was a question from geography. So many, what do you mean by a constitutional government? They asked the question, a very basic question from the class 11 political theory. What do you mean by justice? So what UPSC wants, I'm not saying that NCERTs are enough, but I'm saying NCERTs are prerequisite. You can only switch to any book, any other book after you have done your NCERT, and NCERT, UPSC enjoys in trapping you at a place where you are comfortable. They can ask as simple a question that how many spokes are there in Indian flag, which they asked in 2010 prelims, although they don't ask this factual question anymore. Last year we were teaching Flag Code of India 2002. They asked the question where they were successfully be able to trap more than 99% students by asking a question that what is the length and breadth of the flag, which was from Flag Code of India 2002. And over the years there have been so many, swine flu and bird flu was in news. They asked the question difference between H5N1 and H1N1. And those days, every day these things used to appear in newspaper. Still students got confused, because UPSC wants those students who have a lot of common sense and patience. Why? Because they will be bestowing power upon you. They will be bestowing responsibility upon you. So they don't want people who are too agitated, impatient, and what you call very, very complex set of mind. Simple students who have a lot of common sense. Okay. So many students I see in the class who are absolutely talented, but I see students who are relatively more patient, they are sailing through. Okay. So multiple aspects are there. So NCERT mein for polity, primarily there are 4 NCERTs. 2 I often call them starters and 2 I call them main course. Okay. 2 NCERTs gives you an insight into the political system. If you are quite aware of the same or you have been exposed to them in your schooling, you can rely upon 2 other NCERTs. So primarily there are 4 NCERTs. One is Democratic Politics Part 1, Democratic Politics Part 2, and 2 NCERTs which are favorite NCERTs of UPSC. There would hardly be a year where UPSC has not framed a question from this NCERT. That is Indian Constitution at Work, and most important NCERT, Political Theory. So you have Political Theory, which is an NCERT. In this, what you will know, this NCERT is about what do you mean by basic terms? What is liberty? What is equality? What is justice? What do you mean by fraternity? What do you mean by republic? What do you mean by democratic? Basic terms that we commonly hear, what is the meaning of that? So I'm again reiterating the same, that NCERT remain paramount without a shadow of doubt, that when you start venturing into the academic aspects of polity, NCERTs are not enough in themselves, undoubtedly, but they will give you, they are extremely important, and many more things. For example, we have a definition. What do you mean by secularism? What do you mean by nation? What do you mean by state? What do you mean by liberty? There are so many definitions that are at play. So we primarily rely upon the definition given in NCERT, because these are political terms that have different interpretation. What do you mean by nation itself is a debatable term. So we usually rely upon the standard term that is even given in the NCERT or maybe at some time political science encyclopedia. Okay, so NCERT 4 textbooks are important. One is Democratic Politics Part 1, Part 2, and then you have these two NCERTs are of paramount importance. Indian Constitution at Work and Political Theory. Isme bhi, if out of 4 you will see, this is the most important. I have noted down something which I will share so that this is more productive. Okay, now one thing that for example, now according to you, what should be one of the most important trait of a civil servant? Now see, everything that is asked in UPSC has a direct impact on your job profile, or in many ways you will be related to that. For example, in most of the state public service commission examination, other than few, UP I think has an aberration exception, most of the state public service commission you will not find a separate topic on external affairs or international relations. So state PSCs usually don't ask question on international relations other than the fact that you are choosing political science as an optional. Why? Because in state PSC you will not be dealing with international relations. All the entries related to international relations fall in the union list, be it extradition, war and peace, external affairs, international conferences, then you have United Nations organization, foreign jurisdiction, everything related to external affairs is mentioned in the union list. So in the state PSC exam, they don't ask international relations. Why? Because your job profile has very less to do with internationally. Here they have framed the question, the entire syllabus in such a way that will be directly impacting your job profile and what you are expected to do as a civil servant. So for example, if I give you a very good book on cricket, and I give you a week to go through the same, it has all the shots that have been played till date, all the conventional shots and some new shots which have been played by some unconventional or great players. Will you or me become a very good cricketer after memorizing the book for 1 week? Nahi. You will only be cricketer if you practice. If I give you a book on fire safety, if there is a fire, God forbid, whether you will turn the pages and douse the fire with rule 22? No. You must know practically how to douse the fire. So international relations play a key role. But one thing has to be remembered, which I often say, students coming from opulent English background, they write very good answers. But I jokingly say, where is the answer? Because if you ask any question, for example, you ask a question on women's safety or on related to women empowerment. So they'll start the idea of no civilization can march ahead leaving behind half of its population, the idea of gender. You will write one, they will not give 0.5 marks. Because here explicitly you must also be aware about the factual aspect. Ki bhai, what are the provisions in the Constitution? Article 15 clause 3, that nothing in this article shall prevent the state from making special provision for women and children. Article 42, the state shall provide just and humane conditions of work and maternity relief. Then you have National Commission for Women, which is a statutory body. Then you have Article 338, seats will be reserved for women in Lok Sabha, Article 332A for in state legislative assembly after next delimitation. So your English can help you. I see students coming from diverse backgrounds. Some of them have great writing skill, but still I see them struggling in the mains because only English can act as a supplement, but it cannot replace the main course. You must be ready with the facts. Only you have a pizza, then only you can build the foundation on that. Undoubtedly, if you ask me, newspapers play a paramount role in your preparation because they expose you to why. One, when you will read newspaper, it not only provides you with facts, which I can say with some certainty and assurance that if you will read newspaper for 1 year, you will not even know that you have changed into a different person. So newspapers broaden your intellect, one. Second, they make you learn the art of writing answer. Third, Sometimes while dictation, I mention a very sui generis, inter alia, basic word that I use. Sometimes students struggle. Why? Because they are not reading newspaper. Newspaper, Babu, is not about information. Okay, if you talk about information, with all humility and God's grace, you ask anything. Okay, so from now if I'll start talk for 2 months also, then also it not stop. So it is not only about information. Okay, it is not only about information. One, newspaper will develop your intellect, broaden your horizon. One. Second, they will expose you to quality literature. They will develop the art of thinking, and most importantly, they will prepare you as a good scholar, as a person who understands what is happening in the society. Newspaper is not about information. For example, there is a news item on reservation. The editor gives only 150 words to the writer, that you write there was a judgment given by Supreme Court. He will write just 150 words. So if we talk about reservation, even 7 hours are not enough. Okay, getting my point. So, but information nahi milegi because the space is very limited. But newspaper over the period of time will develop your intellect and will broaden your horizon. And most of the key terms which are, for example, UPSC, 6 years back, they asked a question in essay that engendered development is endangered development. They asked this question. Hindi में it was clearly written that महिला सशक्तिकरण के बिना किया गया विकास विकास नहीं है something. So what happened? The term engender has multiple connotations. Engender has a connotation related to gender, and it also has a connotation related to other. English meaning has multiple meanings. So you can find this on internet. Shashi Tharoor ji wrote a letter to UPSC that this term has multiple connotation. Which connotation UPSC is going to take while evaluating answer scripts? Which UPSC replied, which is in public domain, that the term has multiple meanings. We will take all the possible meanings that can emanate from that term. This problem I see in the class, students aware of the facts but lacking the linkage, lacking the academic maturity, and most importantly poor in vocabulary, is because of lack of reading newspaper. For me, although I am teaching from 16 September 2016, it's been 9-10 years, and reading newspaper at least for last 17-18 years. So you cannot say that how much it has helped over the period of, it will change you absolutely as a different person. Now, I'm not going into the debate whether Ashes will be won by Australia or England for that matter, or Rasgulla belongs to West Bengal or Odisha. There is a dispute. Or the what you call whether Maduro was picked, what happened, all these names. But yes, the debate about Indian Express and Hindu. Indian Express and Hindu. Just very briefly, we don't have time at all. I cannot afford to say that we have time. I will say we don't have time at all. I can add all even one more times. Okay, just briefly touching, what is the Hindu newspaper? The Hindu is an academic paper. Let me tell you. Hindu is least voluminous. Pages wise, it is least voluminous and 2 times the cost of average newspaper. So a newspaper which is costly, but yes, some newspapers which are 1/3 of the price of Hindu, if you will sell them, you will get equal price what you paid to buy that newspaper. So Hindu, being a brief newspaper, still twice costly newspaper or maybe thrice costly newspaper, because Hindu is pure, you know why Hindu is purely an academic paper. Okay, what is so special about Hindu? That lack of enthusiasm, lack of what you call exaggeration. Pure, SBI had this tagline, pure banking, nothing else. Pure banking, nothing else. Matlab, Hindu is a purely academic newspaper. I jokingly say that Europe and Asian plate is entangled like this. Even if it separates, then also Hindu will write in the corner, Eurasian separates. Getting my point? They do not exaggerate the news. Okay, there is a relative in the family always that how it is New Year, birthday celebration, marriage, anniversary, anything is there, he will not get excited. So Hindu is a pure academic newspaper which has nothing to do with exaggeration or flamboyance. Even if India wins World Cup, they will not increase the font. India wins World Cup. Other newspapers may increase the font and bring with some sparkles and all. It is purely an academic paper. It will write what is required. They will not add anything on their own other than the editor's choice, which is given on the editorial page on the extreme left, first and second. So if you want to stick to nothing bakwas, which I say no nonsense, then it is the Hindu. At the same time, Sometimes Hindu is a bit more critical of the policies of the government. Our senior used to say many years down back that the Constitution of India allows you enough space to be an activist. The Constitution of India allows you enough space to be an activist, but you cannot be an activist and civil servant at the same time. So while reading Hindu, you must be cautious. It's a wonderful newspaper, 10 upon 10, but you must be aware what I need to take and what I need to skip. You cannot be too much critical of the government. Okay. Otherwise, it is an academic paper. Indian Express over the period of time is also doing well. It is catering to a wider, and there is a commercial aspect also. So they have UPSC as a separate column, because you know that commerce is an important thing, and they know that lakhs of students prepare for UPSC. Both the newspapers are good, but I'm no what you call competent to comment on the evaluate those two papers, because they are great in themselves. But at the same time, if you like Indian Express, it's fine. But initial stages, if you read Hindu, it will develop more skills, especially those people who have optionals like political science, sociology. Getting my point? We have analytical understanding. Otherwise, Indian Express is also doing good, and especially they understand the demand of UPSC. They have columns like UPSC Explained and all. When we were in college, they started a scheme. The local vendor used to say that, Bhaiya, you pay 350 rupees, we'll give you for a year. So Indian Express way back understood that lakhs of students are preparing for UPSC, so they have reoriented themselves to the demand of UPSC. Both the newspapers are good without a shadow of doubt, but undoubtedly Hindu is absolutely an academic paper which has no space of anything that current laga, bara mare. Getting my point? All these unnecessary news they will not write. They will keep it very precise. It will be a costly paper. In fact, they were running an ad many years back that somebody asked a group of college students that what is the household name of Hrithik Roshan? So they say Dugu Dugu. They say, what is the household name of Kareena Kapoor? So they say Bebo. So they say, what is current account deficit? So all of them are blank. So they say, time to switch newspaper, switch to the Hindu. Getting my point? So they had this ad many years back. So what I am trying to say, both the newspapers are good, and there are some more sources, because I don't have much time. Okay, so I'll just be showing you few more sources. Dekhiye, I can take you to the best of my ability to vast ocean of knowledge. But what I can say with conviction, most of the people who are into services, after the commonality of understanding the demand of exam and being patient, if you ask me one commonality that you will find, they are not concerned with unnecessary information. Thousands of people who are exceptionally good in polity and history are giving lectures. Either they are teaching, or they are sitting at a dhaba giving gyan, or they have traveled outside the country, or they are into research. Most of the engineers I see in the class, I'll give you a reason. For example, when we come from social sciences, law background, okay. So if we bought a book, there is that pain attached that, okay, I bought this book, I have paid money, so I'll start from page 1, India's struggle for independence, Bipin Chandra, Aditya Mukherjee, Mridula Mukherjee, till ISBN number at the back, Penguin publication. Go through everything, and I'll feel that I have done wonders. An engineer will come, he will divide the book into 5 parts, give to 5 of its friends, they will write a synopsis of the chapter, and they will exchange among themselves, and they will write a better answer. So here, one common problem which you will often face, that you will be exposed to vast area of information. Our teacher used to say that we live in an era of bombardment of information. It is actually a great deal of self-patience, where you need to know that you have to skip 80% of the information which is of no significance, because there is a monumental difference between a scholar and a thinker and a civil servant who knows less but knows what is required. If human beings are inquisitive by nature, if you'll write in your answer, there was a man called Suresh in a village, and you will not write anything further, the examiner will die out of curiosity. He will, after the evaluation, he'll go and share with his family, pata nahi what he wanted to say, because we are inquisitive by nature. Killing that unnecessary inquisitiveness, doing things what is necessary. This is something which is a monumental task. I can give you zillions of sources where you'll get quality literature related to law and polity and all, but it is not required. It is not. It is only required to the extent. Still few sources are there. Dear students, for example, we have, if you see, For bill, usually we don't recommend any what you call this thing secondary sources. We primarily rely only on the primary sources. So first and most important source is constitution. Over the period of time, I can show you the questions, in especially in last 5 years. UPSC has been asking questions directly from the constitution, which was not the nature of UPSC in last 75 years. Let me give you 2-3 examples fastly. For example, the whole humanity knows that there is a thing called veto. There is a thing called veto. And the books also, it is written pocket veto, absolute veto, qualified veto, and suspensive veto. All the books that you will read, it is written. But all these powers emanate from Article 111 of the Constitution, where the term veto is not mentioned. Because no time is mentioned in the Constitution for the president to take a call, so scholars have interpreted it as pocket veto, where the president can withhold a bill, so it is called as absolute veto. Now UPSC will ask a question, according to the Constitution, which of the following vetoes are mentioned in the Constitution? Going by the book, because you have read the secondary source, not the primary source, you will quickly eliminate qualified veto and go for pocket, suspensive, and absolute, which is the wrong answer. And I can give you many examples where UPSC is asking which of the following is mentioned in the Constitution, just to check, because they know that ocean of students are only going through the secondary source, not through the primary source. And this character of UPSC has changed in last 5 years, where that they ask a question, according to the Constitution of India, Attorney General resigns when the government changes. Article 76 and 88 deals with Attorney General. Undoubtedly, the Attorney General resigns when the government changes, but this is not mentioned in the Constitution. Because you read the books, UPSC knows very well that you have read the book, you have not read the primary source, so they are checking whether the students are reading the primary source or the secondary source. So secondary source undoubtedly gives you a lucid understanding, but yes, you need to have a hard copy of the Constitution. Even if you have an app, that's perfectly fine. Over the period of time, of course, you cannot remember, oh, I'm teaching for 10 years. Now I remember most of the articles. Humanly, it is not possible. But most of the important articles, not to be memorizing them in the way they are, in verbatim, but you can paraphrase them and you should know at least 40-50, which will be discussed in the class. So one, Constitution remains our paramount source, okay, especially in polity. Second, although we largely rely upon, this was taught in the class, that is why it opened by its own, so rely on government sources. For example, we are talking about delimitation, Pariseman it is called as in Hindi. So this is the official website of Election Commission of India. So Constitution official websites, they're private, we usually dissuade from mentioning, but yes, there are some websites which are so good, which are even quoted in the parliament, and in academic circle they are widely respected. For the bills, you have PRS. Bills ke liye you have PRS. PRS legislative. So PRS legislative, here you will get all the bills which are introduced. For example, if we say bills and acts, any bill. Any bill, what is there? For example, this bill, this G Ramji bill, that is Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission, which has replaced the MNREGA. So when it was introduced, when it was passed, what is the current status? What is the bill summary? What is the bill text? And what was the bill that was introduced and finally it was passed? So this PRS legislative is actually known for its legislative work. Okay. Another, for Supreme Court judgments. Honestly speaking, for years, I used to rely upon SC Observer. But nowadays, we have something that is good. SC Observer, for example, we see. These are those sites which are standard right to privacy. Because I'm sure all of you must have heard at some point of time, right to privacy. And you must have told someone that I do have a right to privacy. Okay. So this is SC Observer, where you will get कि भाई, what was the name of the judgment, KS Puttaswamy versus Union of India, what was decided by the Supreme Court, and a brief understanding of what was the legal issue that was emanating from that judgment. Okay, so this you can do. But this I used to refer for years. But now, thankfully, we have a website of Supreme Court itself, that is Supreme Court Judgment Summaries. Now the Supreme Court itself gives a brief summary of the important landmark judgments that are delivered by the Supreme Court. For example, 2026, we are just in the month of January, so they have not mentioned anything. But 25 May we go, any case that we lift. For example, this is a case related to, for example, anything. Some 24 May we had some more important judgments which will find some resonance with you. Okay. So for example, this was related to the words socialist and secular, which is often quoted in WhatsApp University. Okay, so the point is, so you have what was the factual nature of the case, what was the decision of the judgment. So one, you can go to PRS legislative for all the bills. Second, you have SC observer. Now you have Center for Research and Planning, that is part of Supreme Court of India, within the Supreme Court of India. So you can go, Constitution, you can go for an app or you can go for a hard copy of the Constitution, because over the years, especially in the prelim stage of the examination, UPSC has been conventionally, if I say last 3-5 years, asking question. Last year they asked Article 109. Usse pehle they, so many a time they are asking articles of the Constitution. And one more thing, when I was a naive person, or I was of your age, I used to think, how can UPSC ask an article? How? This is injustice. How can you expect a student to remember from Article 1 to 395? Bihar Public Service Commission many years back asked Article 331. So although that by that time, and so used to think that you cannot ask articles from the students who are not aware of the same. But now I understood ki, oh, if UPSC is asking an article, 100% it is an important article, and an average scholar must know that particular article. That is why UPSC is asking. It is quite not possible under the sky that UPSC will ask an article that is not important. So initially I used to think many years back that asking article is a torture upon the student scholar world, but no, it is not the same. If they are asking an article, it is the ethical, professional responsibility of the teacher to discuss that article, because they cannot ask an article in verbatim if it is not very important. And then also you don't need to write, just last year they asked Article 16 clause 4 and Article 335. We often do 16 clause 4 and 335 while dealing with reservation. So this was an article which was discussed in the class, which just one of the examples. So if they ask an article, you don't need to be afraid that we need to memorize Article 1 to 395. But those important articles which are of some academic significance, which are hardly 40-50 in number, that you need to go through. So I've just I'll be wrapping up the conversation because we have other faculties also. Okay. So, and you, there are a few more things. One, before prelims practicing paper, let me tell you, if you go through all the literature meant for humankind on earth, then also prelims is not possible if you don't practice papers. How will you learn playing cricket unless you play cricket? So be it abhyas or any exercise where you get exposed to real time condition, where you practice paper without being interrupted by your neighbor. So practicing papers remains a key thing. Just to wrap up, then I'll take few questions and then we'll wrap up the conversation. Okay. So you have syllabus, NCERT, newspaper, to chalo, you can go for Indian Express or Hindu. But yes, Hindu is academically very rich. Indian Express is also there. In Hindu may be of some more fruitful, what you call conclusion for some optionals like sociology, political science and all. Okay. Next you have previous year's question paper, that undoubtedly they are of one of the most important things. Previous year's question paper, why? Because, you know, at least a substantial number of questions are directly not asked from previous year, but the topics that have been asked in previous years. So they hover around the options that were given in previous years. So previous year's question paper, going through the answer scripts of the toppers, let me confess this before you, here as well as privately, many toppers admit that they did nothing special. For mains, they 100% learned the art of writing answer from the predecessors. There is no shame in learning. Most of the people who qualify and get very good rank learn from the answer scripts of the toppers. You may bring in some innovation. 40-50% of the time the syllabus is static. Things are not changing at a faster pace, be it geography, be it history, getting my point, or subjects like polity, the issues remain the same: principle of equality, freedom of speech and expression, policies related to reservation, federalism, relationship between center and state, secularism, uniform civil code, separation of powers. The issues remain the same. So you'll go through the answers of the toppers. Most of the topics you will get ready-made answers, and integrating them with current affairs, it is one of the most important thing to, if not do a great deal of research on the answer scripts of the toppers, which are available on the website of Vision IAS. So I will be focusing on syllabus, especially from the mains perspective, you need to have a hard copy of the syllabus at the workstation. NCERT, two NCERTs of paramount importance. You have newspaper, either of the them, previous year's question paper, answer scripts of the toppers, and some sources like you need to have a hard copy of the constitution, PRS legislative is going to help you in bills, but not going too deep. Because once you will read polity, you will start enjoying. You will start exhibiting your knowledge before the society that you cater, and while traveling from United States of Bihar to National Capital Territory of Delhi, in the train you will exhibit that I know Article 38 social, economic and political justice and Article 39A free legal aid. No. Free may you don't need to. The world will know that you are really a smart person, because UPSC every year releases the list of smart people in portable document format. Okay, then you get a license to make reels. Okay, so the point is, so let's leave upon the UPSC to institutionalize your smartness or any one thing. So, but going too deep into PRS will invite your mind what will be a negative thing for preparation. Just going through the basic SC Observer, Supreme Court judgment summaries, and many other sources which we will discuss in the class. Now, if you have any question, jaldi se you ask, then we'll wrap up the conversation.
Prelims is approaching fast, so ask yourself, are you taking CSAT seriously or leaving it for the last moment because it's just qualifying? That mindset is the biggest mistake aspirants make. CSAT doesn't test memory, it tests your clarity under pressure, reasoning, comprehension, numeracy and problem solving. One weak area, one wrong approach, and the prelims journey can end there. That's why the Vision IAS CSAT Crash Course Prelims 2026 starting 5th January at 11 AM is designed for smart, focused preparation. With complete topic coverage, every concept in CSAT is explained clearly and systematically, so nothing is left to chance. Through practice-driven learning, you apply what you have studied with mini tests, exercises and exam-focused problem solving. Expert insights and strategies help you tackle questions faster and more accurately, saving precious time in the exam. With personalized mentorship, your doubts are resolved, performance is tracked, and guidance is tailored to your strengths and weaknesses. And the flexibility of live plus recorded classes ensures you can learn at your own pace, revisit tough topics, and stay consistent in preparation. Don't let CSAT decide your prelims result. With the Vision IAS CSAT Crash Course, prepare smart, build confidence, and face prelims calm and ready. For more information or register, visit our website or call us on the given numbers.
If you have any question, okay. So if you have any question hour is first in Lok Sabha. Okay, it is the first hour in the Lok Sabha, but here we can have it at the end, because sometimes it is in Raj Sabha, when there was a lot of pandemonium, it was shifted to the last. Okay, you have any question? Current affairs ke liye news paper and these sources are not enough, more than enough for current affairs. And one more thing, you can prepare topic wise notes. Most of the topics that are going on, you can prepare topic wise notes, because most of the questions would be from the issues that are going on. The UPSC asked the question on ED and CBI, it is going on throughout the UPSC asked the question on governor, it is going on throughout the UPSC asked the question when this Sabrimala verdict was given, that women in the age group 10 to 50 will be allowed to enter Sabrimala temple complex or Sufi Dargah or any shrine or any such religious place. So UPSC asked the question, do you think our cultural practices are being challenged in the name of secularism? Do you think our cultural practices are being challenged in the name of secularism? क्या आपको लगता है हमारी सांस्कृतिक सभ्यता को सेक्युलरिज्म के नाम पर चैलेंज किया जा रहा है? So you need to write a very balanced answer. They asked a very interesting question, जैसे for example our brothers and sisters from diverse communities, for example somebody who is a Sikh brother who is having a turban, or somebody who is wearing a hijab, or somebody who is wearing a gungat. In France, you know, there are sometimes issues. So UPSC asked the question, what France can learn from Indian secularism? This was a question in mains that was asked, what French can learn from Indian secularism? India is not a land of melting pot. When you, for example, if I make a soup, I take all the ingredients to make a soup, all the ingredients will lose their identity. Last may only soup would be left. India is not a land of melting pot where all cultures come and they lose their identity. India is a salad ball, salad ka ball. Onion, tomato, chili, lemon, they all stay together without losing their identity. Without losing their identity. India is not a land of melting pot. It is a salad ball where they stay together without losing their identity. UPSC asked the question, what French secularism can learn from Indian secularism? So Indian secularism, which we don't have time now. Any other question you have? Please ask her. I know 27.
We are getting monthly magazines from Vision IAS. And
Okay.
there's a lot of information in that. So what is the right way of going through these magazines?
See, I honestly confess this key. 3-4 years back, I went to JNU before prelims to meet someone. So somehow it was just 2-3 days before prelims. Literally in that reading room, Dholpur house, or below the stairs, people were studying. All of them were reading Vision IAS, current affairs. Anybody you will ask will read current affairs. First thing, that if you are doing it month-wise, okay, then it will not be required that you most of the things, if you're doing it month-wise, last May PT 365 and main 365 will come. So if you have done it month-wise, hardly there will be anything new in those, because it is just a synopsis of what has happened in the 12 months. One thing. Second, the biggest challenge is that it is voluminous in nature to remember the facts for such long period of time. While reading those, one, from prelims point of view, when you appear for prelims, you should be wise enough, which I know you are, to know that this piece of literature is not important from prelims point of. For example, if they give National Commission for Backward Classes Article 338B, function composition, now they will write way forward. What improve? This will not be asked in prelims. So thoda sa in the prelim stage of the examination, you can be a bit more selective, that we will only do things which are required from prelims point of view. From mains point of view, you need to be relatively on a different pedestal ki bhai, this is important for mains. But one thing I can say, ki I started this lecture with one line. There is a race against time. What literally, honestly saying, after teaching 1 lakh student, I've realized one thing, 80,000 to honge, that you cannot beat time. Dear, you work hard. Only you are not able to, this is two of the common things which I get every single day. Some or the other student comes, sir, we don't have enough time, first, and second, what are the sources that we need to refer? Sources, you need to stick to basics. Time mein problem ye hai ki if you are preparing now for 27, it is good. Most of the people who are preparing for 26, they are racing against time. You are not able to remember, there is only one reason, because you have not given it enough time. If you will do that thing again and again, so by the time, if you do the same thing again and again, thoda sa you should be diligent that this is not important for prelims. So once from 2026, 27 January, when you will change the gear and you will directly hover towards prelims, then you have to be very selective that this is not important. Otherwise, you repeat the same thing again and again. And let me honestly tell you, in mains current affairs also, if there is a issue going on, for example, related to the office of governor, on 8th of April 2025, state of Tamil Nadu versus governor, the judgment was delivered by Supreme Court. So first they will give everything related to the office of governor, that what is article 153, 154, the role of governor, and then they will give what was the judgment delivered by Supreme Court. So half of the current affairs, or 33%, is the static, which you already know. So it looks voluminous, but it is not that voluminous. And second, because you have given it less time, common problem, you cannot skip time. एक से एक smart students I meet कि sir January से I will be like, I've made a plan. I can write with my blood that you are competing with time. So if you start early, there is, I jokingly say that there is a butcher assassinator who will study from June to December. And January he will meet you at Old Rajendra Nagar with a cup of coffee that I am very nervous. He has already done his job from June to December, and he will compete with you, study together. But the assassinator, the butcher, the gladiator, the Spartan starts working from June. So if you start now, most likely to, even if you are ekdam average, then also the chances are open. I don't want to give stories which I don't like to, but I can mention by name students who have done their graduation from qualifying and get correspondence have got under 100 rank. And the most surprise is I all the time. I see some students sitting at the corner coming, I recognize them by faces, and suddenly I see over them in the reels that got 28 rank, got 24 rank, because this exam is an open-ended exam. Every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. Okay, any other question? Now we will be having a few more faculties who would be coming. I was dealing with primarily polity and governance. Okay, thank you.